What would you think if I told you that you could grow vegetables in seawater? Well, that's exactly what we do at Halophilic Marine Agriculture. That's important too, because Vietnam has over 1.2 million hectares of saline land, which can't be used for conventional agriculture. So far, shrimp farming's done a very good job of bringing value out of this type of land, but it's now reaching the point where it's reaching the limit of its expansion. Now, there's one company based in Hawaii that's developed a very unique solution to this issue. That company is called Marine Agriculture, and it's figured out how to grow 2 high-value crops in abandoned shrimp ponds filled with seawater. Those crops are Gracilaria seaweed and a very unique plant called sea asparagus. What's special about sea asparagus is not only that it grows in full-strength ocean water, but it also has a very high market price for its fresh, straight-off-the-chute form. And not only that, but just this year, we also added shrimp to the equation and figured out how to grow our plants with wastewater from shrimp ponds. Now, sea asparagus is a new product to the world, but you'll see it on supermarket shelves around the planet for prices of between $30 to $50 per kilo. But there are some very unique markets, like those in Japan, which sell for prices as high as $160 per kilogram for its fresh, straight-off-the-chute form. Now, the thing is, marine agriculture in Hawaii is a well-established business, and it generates over $1 million in revenue every year. The problem is, it's stuck in 1 hectare of cultivation area and hasn't been able to expand. So that's why the owner and I, the ex-farm manager, started Halophilic with the intention of taking this technology and bringing it to parts of the world where it can scale. And we're starting in Vietnam because this country has the infrastructure and the people that are needed to really make this technology work. Now, Halophilic in Vietnam is not going to be just a farm. It's going to be a business that shares this technology among the independent shrimp farm owners, seaweed farm owners, and anyone who owns an abandoned saltwater pond. And we offer them a very attractive prospect because for every 1,000 meters squared of land that uses this technology, a farm can generate $23,000 in sales and net $11,000 every year. And these aren't conservative figures either, because they're only 1/5 of the revenue that we get from the same amount of space at our farm in Hawaii. Halophilic's role in this is to be able to provide seeds for these farms and then buy back produce and bring them to market. Now, let me tell you a little bit about the progress we've made so far. So Halophilic just registered our company this April, and by July, we finished building our first prototype site in an abandoned shrimp pond here in central Vietnam. We're also funded and trained by the aquaculture hedge fund, Hatch, and by this December, we'll be sending out our first samples of sea asparagus to the restaurants that you see here. Now, we've already started our project and have already started working on it, but we're looking for a fundraise of $400,000, which would get us just over a hectare of cultivation area and allow us to work with 10 independent farmers. This would create for us a solid foundation from which we can adapt this technology to Vietnam, but also find ways to grow this technology sustainably in the country. So that by 3 years, we'll be working in 2.5 hectares, get a positive cash flow, and then by 6 years, we'll be targeting 15 hectares of total cultivation area, and most importantly, at that scale, we'll be netting $160,000 a year for every hectare of land that we're operating in. Now, our team includes not only the inventor and the people who grow sea asparagus and seaweed, but also a chief finance officer at Techcombank and the ex-owner of a large Vietnamese catering company. Now, we're starting here in Vietnam because this country has a vast amount of untapped marine resources, but it also has the infrastructure and the people needed to make this technology scale up. And once we show the world that that can be done, we'll be taking the experts that we trained here in Vietnam and send them to the various parts of the world that have already asked us to implement this technology in their countries. Thank you very much for listening to this talk. I hope you learned a lot. And if you want to learn more, please do come and speak with me afterwards. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the presentation. It's quite new to me. I haven't really tried this bit. So regarding that, what's your plan to educate the customers to try this out? And then if you have any feedbacks from the customers already, I'd like to hear.
Okay, so yes, restaurants is how we're going to educate. Let me go back here. This dish was made by Pepe Le Poule. They're up in Hanoi. We gave them a sample, and the chef came up with that beautiful, confit salmon with wasabi sauce. And we're seeing this is how the chefs react to our product, right? Because it's got a very pungent and very, very interesting flavor, but it's also very healthy, right? So yeah, first to start with the high-end restaurants and show the people in this country, like, this is how it tastes. Like, if you come here, you can try our food, and then also communicating the health benefits of this product, because it's grown in the sea. So it has a lot of antioxidants, it has a lot of TMG, and that's just something I've not touched in at all here. And if we go to like a food and beverage conference though, then you'll hear that part of our pitch. But I'll also add just one last thing. There are 2 restaurants we know of, Lucien, I think, and another one here in Vietnam that are already importing this, but have a very unstable supply.
Good morning, Nick. I think I met you somewhere, but I cannot recall where. So as an impact investor, I would approach this idea in 2 different angles, right? So the first one would be the impact angle. So you say that you will source the materials and the farm from smallholder farmers, like farmers, right? So do you provide any training for them to do sustainable farming practices? Or even if they can demonstrate that they comply with international standard, they can get a premium for their products as well. So that is one. And the second angle I would approach is the financial angle. So you say in 6 years, you continue to source from farmers. Have you ever considered that you're gonna farm yourself? You're gonna have your own land and you farm yourself? Because in most cases that I work with impact enterprises in this industry, they can get higher gross profit margin if they farm themselves instead of sourcing. So as an impact investor, when I see in the next 6 years, you continue to source, and I will raise a question on, have you ever considered that, having your own land and you farm yourself to increase the margin? Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely have considered that, and every single finance person I talk to tells me that the outsourcing idea doesn't work and that I should keep it in-house. But if we did that, I myself wouldn't be interested in this project. I'd do something else because I don't want to be a farm. I've been a farmer for years. I'm not interested, right? And I also think here in Vietnam, it's a very interesting environment because the farmers here are just so innovative and just so clever. You know, they always, even the farmers that we have here, they're always coming up with their own solutions. So we really think that the farmers themselves can really enhance this technology in ways that, that we might not think of if we just did it ourselves. Now the finance angle, yes, yeah, we agree the margins would be much better if we just kept it all in-house. Just to say too, we'll have 2 sites of our own, and that's primarily to demonstrate the technology. So those first 2 prototype sites that I mentioned, they're in the middle of a shrimp farming community, right? So our pond is like, we have, what, 6, 7 farming neighbors in there. We haven't built walls, we're not a fortress, right? Anyone can drive in on our farm and see this technology. And that's important because, you know, once the plants are growing, and they are growing right now, and once we have their pond full, then we'll go to our neighbor and say, hey, we can put this in your farm here. We have funding. We'll fund the CapEx for you. And as you buy back, as you provide for us the vegetables that you grow, that's, you know, you'll pay back our investment into you. So.
Nick, this is cool. It would have been great to have it for lunch.
It will be for lunch. I tell you what, I applied for Net Zero Challenge from Temasek. I don't know if you're aware. So our samples will be ready if we get into that. So
okay, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to try it out. So my question is, this all sounds really great, but your business partner, he's been doing this for almost 20 years. How has he not been able to commercialize or scale this?
Okay, yes. That's a very interesting story, right? Number one reason, he's a scientist, and my feeling is that, my interpretation is that by the time he really figured out how to operate this technology, he reached a certain age, you know, like 50, 60 years old. And at the time he started as well, there wasn't as much interest in ESG and you know, this kind of stuff, or even Salicornia, sea asparagus here. It's an up and coming market right now. And at the time that he was doing it, he just started it, there wasn't that much interest yet. The second reason is he's insisted on being in Hawaii up until now, and that is the worst place to have a small agriculture business, I think. There have been a lot of people that have come to kind of do what I've tried to do, but I think it hasn't worked out because, one, they haven't done it in Vietnam, they did it in like Japan and these other countries. Which are more difficult to establish. But also, I think no one's ever approached it from a shrimp farming angle, which is the way I'm approaching it from, because I used to be a shrimp farmer too, here in Vietnam actually as well. Yeah.
I have two questions. The first question is that I'm very confused. Which company is actually you presenting or you pitching for? Halophilic or Marine Aqua, whatever name it is from the beginnings?
Yeah.
And even the last line, you know, your co-founder also have a very different email address from yours.
Yeah.
So it's very critical as a pitcher. I need to know, you know, who I am planning to invest into and which company is it legitimate or not. And it's very critical.
Okay, that's very good advice, and I think I'll change that because I've got that feedback a lot more. The reason why I talk about marine agriculture is first to give credit to the inventor. I think that's very important, and he also has a very large share of this company too, even though, you know, it's separate from, this company is separate from marine agriculture, okay? The second reason is I think it's important to show that this technology is a business. It's succeeded. It's commercial, right? Even though it's in a small amount of land, it makes a lot of money in a very small space. And the problem I find often is that not many people know about this, like know about sea asparagus, know that this is even possible. So my intention in saying that is, like providing that information, is to say, no, this works. Like it actually has been working for a long time, but it just needs a little extra help to scale up.
But in that case, and thanks to you, we already know about this idea, and we basically can copycat and then create our own business model. Similar to this, right? Then, you know, what is the defensibility of the business model for it to be successful when it's, yes?
Yeah, so that's something that keeps me up at night. But there's one thing that keeps us in business, and that's the expertise and the seeds. So our company has the seeds. We have the knowledge to reproduce the seeds for this plant. And the reason why you don't see many other sea asparagus farms around the world is because very few people are willing to share good seeds. And we have access to that. So, yeah.
And last questions. The whole pitch, I haven't really heard anything about the sustainable impact of all of these ideas. And if you could be more explicit about how could you be more impactful with this business model, that would be great. Thank you.
Do I have time to respond? Yeah, okay. Last question, okay. Yeah, so the sustainability impacts, yeah. If you've been to a shrimp farm, or if you've been to a shrimp farming region in Vietnam, you'll notice that there's a lot of ponds that don't have anything in them. They're just empty, right? So my inspiration for starting this business was to come to these farmers, these people that own this type of land, and to show them, hey, we can set this up for you. You can start creating value, generating revenue out of this land that is currently empty. And not only that, but if you're a shrimp farmer, we can show you how to treat your water, and not only treat your water, but make money out of the water treatment system that you have, right? So if you treat your water properly, you can also use the free fertilizer coming from your shrimp ponds and grow these plants with that. So yes, that is something that definitely needs to be in this pitch, and those are changes that I need to make. But yeah, for all of you here, that is the other component of this business.